What is a dud? What is a dud? Everybody thinks that a dud is what Phil just described, and of course it is, but that's not all a dud is. There's a lot more to a dud than just a shell that goes up and then comes back and smacks the ground. Examples of duds would be the flower pot shell, breaks in a pipe and comes out in a nice display of vertical colors. Then there's the shell that fails to take fire on the way up. It comes out of the gun, but nothing lit off. Or maybe something did the fuse did light off, but when it got to where it was supposed to burst, it didn't. Or maybe it got to where it was supposed to burst, it did burst, but nothing burned. It detonated in the air, and you got a scattering of stars and cytines or other kinds of components all over the ground. Those are all examples of duds. Let's talk a minute about the flower pot shell. And a flower pot's probably the most common type of dud there is. Time delay fuse ignition failure. This is the common dud. This is where and we'll talk for a minute about both styles, fuse up, fuse down techniques. A real embarrassing situation was we had some people helping us at the plant put the lift charge on shells one year, and got out in the field on one of the shows and loaded the bomb into the mortar pipe. The match hit and nothing. 3 seconds later, boom! No lift charge, right? There's another idea, you know. If you're doing 2,000 shells a day, and everybody's jibber-jabbering at the table, it's possible one gets by, you know, and they're not watching. But, you know, these are the kinds of things you got to be careful of. Fortunately, that's a rare thing. Okay, there's another reason why we get duds, and that is once the fuse burns. This is a common one here. The fuse does ignite, but it burns out. You can see the tracer go up, and then all of a sudden nothing. You can't find it. Now you're looking for the truck to dive under because it's coming back, you know. So this is the true dreaded dud, the one that takes fire, it goes in the air, you see the tracer, and then bingo, it's gone. Where's it coming back? Where's the wind? How did you angle your pipes? A million thoughts start going through your head, and you're telling all your guys, shut up, be quiet. Be quiet, I got to hear where it hits. I got to find it. You know? Well, if you don't hear it hit and it hits you, your problems are over. But if it hits the ground, you got to find it. And you got to find it that night. And yes, you can have blind stars. That's when you can have blind components, meaning, in this case, a shell that bursts, but the parts don't light off. Okay? Now, the problem can be either the stars or the components are not ignitable enough for the design of the shell, or from Derek's point of view, the shell is not designed properly for the ignitability of the star. It depends on which end of that explanation you're looking at. Once you get a design that works, once you've experimented with different kinds of primers, different kinds of star formulas to mate with your shell design, or then maybe having to change things about your shell design to make the stars perform better with more ignition, then you freeze the design. Once you get a marriage between all the components of a shell, you freeze it. Now we're talking about the laws of nature here. Physics and chemistry, okay? You can't fool Mother Nature. There's no future in trying to fool Mother Nature. It don't work. You gotta learn what that shell needs, that design needs to make it work properly. Once you find it out, you stop changing the design. You freeze it. If you want to improve on it, continue to experiment to improve on it. But again, each step of the way, as it gets better, you freeze it. If you try to take shortcuts, you try to cheat, you don't have the right glue, and you don't want to wait for it to come in the mail, or you can't find a place to buy it or whatever, you're going to have a problem. Everything, minute detail, from the glue to the string to the disking to the amount of paper you put on it to the ignitability of the stars, when they're all working together as a system, it's a marriage of all those components. When something isn't right, as Derek was saying yesterday, then you have blind stars or blind components.